Hello, this is PyJolt here, and today we're going to be building a Blaster Trader game. It's simply a game where you have different days, and on day one you're presented with a certain number of blasters at a certain price. You can buy or sell them, and day two the price changes and the number of blasters changes, and basically you've got to buy and sell blasters to make a profit by the end of the game, which will hopefully be in about 30 days. So let's get to it. Got an instance of the Python shell up right now, so let's just save ourselves a new file. So new file, save as, and we're going to save that as Blaster Trader. Blaster Trader, there we go. Saving as Blaster Trader, that'll pop up round about here. Now the first thing we're going to want to do, I'm going to write this in comments form. So we are going to need to keep track of the number of days that are occurring. So the number of days, we're going to keep track of that. We're going to keep track of the amount of money you have as well. We're going to keep track of what else? The number of blasters we have too. We are going to need a module, I think, to increment the number of days. So these are the functions that we need. Need a function for the number of days. So to increment the days, sorry. We're going to need a function, possibly a function to randomly generate the numbers of blasters. So randomly generate numbers of blasters and price of blasters each time. And for the moment, I think that's good enough for us to make a start and good enough for us to go on to begin with. So let's. What I'm going to do is be super lazy here and just work with some global variables. So day equals, we're going to start on day 0, obviously. Blasters, let's call it blasters plural because we're going to have lots of them. We're going to start off with 0 of them as well, I believe. And in addition to that, we're also going to have, what else did we say? A number of blasters, money, and the amount of money that we have. So let's just write money, or we could write cash. Oopsie daisy, I'm going to leave that there. Let's just write cash there and see how it goes. So cash. Right, now in terms of the functions, our first function is going to increment the number of days. So to start a function in Python, def function, let's have day count, and we're not going to pass any arguments, not going to have any arguments in that to begin with. And we're going to have, as a global variable, we're going to have day, and each time you run this function, all it's going to do is increment day by 1. All it's going to do is increment day by 1. So let's have day is equal to day plus 1, and that should be quite simple. Now we're just going to test this out. So let's just have, I guess let's print it out as well, so that we know that something's happening. So print day, and let's just run this a couple of times to just demonstrate that this is doing what it needs to be doing. So there you go, copy, and we'll just paste that here a couple of times, and literally all we're doing here is just making sure this is working. Invalid syntax. What did I do? All right, okay, I forgot to get the defs out of there too. That was bad of me there. Bad start. There we go, and let's do 4 of them. Save, and off we go. There we go, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're now incrementing the number of days, which is absolutely fantastic. Now another thing that would be useful is if we had a module maybe which didn't just print the days for us, but actually told us how much money and everything we have day by day. So let's call this status maybe. So status, and we are going to need to have global variables. We're going to need day, the number of blasters we have, and we're also going to need the amount of cash we have as well. We are going to need those 3 in this, and I guess all we want to do here is we just want to print then. We're going to want to print the what day it is, but of course that's going to be in a string. And actually I'm going to go ahead and there you go, copy and paste this, because we are going to want to keep that kind of string function there. So we are going to want to print all of those, only it's day, it's the number of blasters you got, and it's the amount of cash that you've got as well. So they're the things. So they're the things. So that's something that we're going to want to print each time we increment a day, which I think we're kind of agreed on there. So in that case, we can get rid of the print function up here. There's no need to do that twice. And then what this will do is each time a day increments, we'll get some way to print the status as well. So at the moment, let's go ahead and have a while loop here. So while true, and we're going to have it run day, and then we're going to have it run status. And let's just see what this gives us. So this should literally just be a splurge down the page, just showing that we're continuously printing these out. Oh, type error, int object is not callable. What's going on here then? Am I trying to call an int object then? Day equals day plus 1, string day, global day, doopy 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 doopah. Oh, right, okay, I see what the problem is, because I've said day, not day count. Okay, and so I'm trying to call that. So day count, let's have a look, and this should just literally splurge all the way down the page now. Still not doing it. Blaster is not defined, that's because it should be called blasters. Oopsie daisy, that's meant to be a control and S there, so let's just control S, save that. And are we going to splurge down the page now? Yep, there we go. So we're splurging down the page, incrementing, closing. All right, fantastic. So it's literally just printing out all of those, but we want a bit more than that, actually. I guess we want to also say day is this, and then in between that, we also want to say that that's the number of blasters. Let's have that in inverted commas. Number is this. Let's maybe have a space and a comma in between that as well. And then finally, we're also going to want to say the amount of cash we have too. So let's have cash, and then let's just F5 this. Doesn't like this now for some reason. Invalid syntax, string blasters. Why doesn't it like that? Oh, okay, it's because it didn't have a plus in there. So for concatenation, I must have a plus. So there we go. And off we go. It's the same there as well. Man, I'm having a rough day today. There we go. And now we should be just fine. There we go. That's fantastic. So that's literally telling me what day it is. And it's going to keep on doing that for absolute ever. So let's just stop it right there. And while true, so that's all working now. Now, I guess the next thing that we're going to need is something to actually play the game with here. So we're going to use, I think, let's now have a function. Actually, let's have a function to increment the number. Well, actually, I'm not going to bother with the function. We're just going to use a for loop. So for I in range, and let's say this is going to last for 30 days. So 1 to 30, we are going to want to run these two. So for I in range 1 to 30, we're going to want to run these. So rather than having that in a while loop, we've now got for I in range 1 to 30. That's how we're going to run these. And I guess we're going to add our kind of game mechanics to this as well. So def, we're going to define a function here. And this function is now going to deal with the actual game mechanics as well. So the game itself, and this is going to want to have an impact. It's not going to have an impact on the day because that's dealt with separately, but it is going to need to have an impact on blasters, and it is going to need to have an impact on cash as well. So let's have global blasters, number of blasters, and global cash. So it's going to have an impact on both of those variables. It is quite a lazy way of doing it, but it's just how I'm choosing to do it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to need to generate, I think, a random amount of blasters for you to be presented with. So each day you're going to be presented with a random amount of blasters which are going to be worth a random amount of money, and the object of the game is just to buy them and sell them to make a profit so that you've got more money than you started with by day 30. And so let's just call that blasters. So blaster number, and let's have that equal to, and we're going to actually import a function right at the top here. So we're going to use the random function, from random import randint, and then that'll enable us to say, right, we want a random number here from whatever number to whatever number, equals randint, and the argument in there is going to be, it's going to be from 1 to, I don't know, 1 to 10 blasters. Say 1 to 10 blasters sounds good. Alrighty then, that'll do it. And then in addition to that, we're going to want something very, very similar underneath it. We're going to want blasters number. We also want blasters value as well. So we want blasters value too. So that's going to be, so the value is going to be somewhere in between minimum of 3, maximum of 10. So yeah, that's what we're going to say. Then what we're going to need to do is, I guess, how are we going to deal with this? We're then going to want to tell the person looking how many we've got available. So print there are, let's concatenate this, and then we want this in a string, blasters number and a space, blasters available to buy. There are blasters number, blasters available to buy. Yep, that's fine. And we also want to inform them as well that we're just going to say blaster value is, and then again we're going to make this into a string first of all, blasters value, and I don't know, we'll do it in pounds, why not, because I am in the UK. Blasters value, and that should be that. Alright, so actually, rather than running status separately, why don't we run status as a function of this right here? Should we do that? Should we run status as a function of this right here? We will, but not just yet. We will, but just not yet. Okay. Right, and what we're going to want now is we're going to want the user to be able to input somehow to say what they want to do. And really, I guess they can only do 3 things. They can buy, they can sell, and then they can go to the next day. So let's have, right, so let's just call this variable action equals input by typing B, sell by typing S, oops, typing, that's a terrible spelling mistake there, S, or move by typing M. Alright, so there are your 3 options, or move by typing M. So you've got 3 things that you can do there. And then after they've taken that action, then we want to look at what they've typed in. If action equals S, for example, only it's not going to equal S, it's going to be a comparison operator there. So if action equals S, now at this point we're going to need to have some more conditions in there as well, because if there aren't any blasters to buy, or if there isn't enough money, then obviously they won't be able to do that. So or if they don't have any blasters to sell, sorry. So if blasters is greater than 0, we will allow them to do the following things. Allow them to do this. Is greater than 0, then we will have the number of blasters you have are equal to blasters minus 1, because we're going to sell a blaster. But then the amount of money you have is going to be changed to money, not to Mooney, to money plus, what do we call that one? Blasters value. because each time you sell a blaster, you're obviously gaining a bit of money from that. So that's what we're going to have. And after that, we are going to want to. Well, actually, how are we going to do this? We're going to actually want a loop here, aren't we? Because we want this to repeat. We don't want them just to do it once. We want them to do it. We want them to take these actions as many times as they want to within that day, so they can buy multiple times or sell multiple times. So why don't we have a while loop? So while true, and then we'll put all of this here into a while loop. There we go. So while true, we want to print all of this. Do you know what? Why don't we go ahead in this while true loop and we also print status? So we're going to print status here too. So let's ditch this. And so we are going to want day count to happen, but then we also want game to occur as well. There we go. So we're going to want. So status is going to be handled within game, which means we don't have to be necessarily repeating that every time. Okay, so now let's take a look at what we've got. So we're printing off the information there. We're printing off the status is going to return that information. So we're printing off the status. We're printing off that information. So while that's true, that's happening. Action equals input, and then. If the action's that, then they are going to be changed. Then they're going to be incrementing the amount of money they have, and after they've done that, I guess we just want this loop to continue. We want the loop to go back to the beginning and start again, because then even if they bought a blaster, they might want to buy another blaster. So let's have continue there. Right. So if blaster's that, else if blaster is not that, then we want to print a message like I don't know. You can't do that. Actually, rather than printing that message, because we might end up printing that message several times, why don't we have a function that deals with that error message as well? So def we'll call that nope, and then we'll just say print you can't. Oopsie daisy. Let's have our there we go. You can't do that. All right. So there we go, you can't do that. And then we'll just have that return. And then else. And then we'll just call that nope function right there. And that'll deal with that. Right. Else nope. And then we also want to continue at the loop at that point as well. So continue the loop at that point too. Right. That's dealt with the S action. Now, if action, oops, let's have that. Is that the right? Yep, that's the right place. If action is buy, if it's going to be buy, so if they're trying to buy a blaster, so that's going to depend on a couple of different things there actually. So if blaster's number is greater than 0, because obviously they can't buy a blaster if there's no blaster there to buy, but it's also going to depend on your money, and cash is greater than blaster's value, because obviously if you don't have more cash than you have the amount that the blaster cost, you won't be able to do anything with that either. Right, then we'll allow them to do the action. So if that's the case and that's the case, then we'll say blasters equals blasters plus 1 if they're buying a blaster. I've just realised up here as well, we also want to make the blasters available. Needs to change too. Does that need to change as well? Yes, it does need to change as well, really, doesn't it? So blasters number equals blasters number minus 1, because that's gonna decrease, and then that's going to be the opposite. So blaster's number is going to increase there. So every blaster that you get, oops, have I done that the right way around? Equals blaster's number So I lose a blaster, they gain a blaster, and this way round, yeah, that's right. So I gain a blaster, they lose a blaster if I buy, that's right. And then money equals money minus blaster's value. All right, so that's that. And I think we're actually going to need another condition there. Actually, we're going to also want to say else if that's not the case, then we're going to have our nope module, and we're going to continue the loop as well. And down here we want to continue the loop too. So these continues are quite important there. Otherwise the loop won't work. It'll just carry on following through. The continue makes it go back to the start of the loop, if that makes sense. So let's go down again, and let's just kind of think about what we need to do next. Now we need to deal with what if the action. And actually, let's have this as an elif statement. Elif action equals elif action equals, what was the other one? It was move, wasn't it? Is that right? Was it m? Yeah, elif action equals m. Then we're going to want to say, then we're going to want to actually break this, aren't we? We're going to want to break this loop because they're done here and they're just moving somewhere else. So we're just breaking the loop here. That's pretty simple, actually. That seems kind of over simple. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I guess it is. At that point, we are going to want to return and kind of finish. And so after it breaks, the next thing we're going to want it to do is just stop and move on to something else. And we're going to want it to increment again. So this looks like it might just do what we want it to do. Should we take a look? So let's save it and go ahead. There might be some syntax errors or whatever. Right. And there's nothing doing there. Nothing doing. Why are we not doing anything? Let's have a little look at this. So we've got game set up. We've got that set up. So let's just save this and F5. And there is precisely nothing going on here. So there is nothing. Oh, okay. It's because I put my argument wrong in here. All right. There we go. That's why. Okay. Okay. Right. So now we're doing this. So on day one, I have no blasters, no cash. There are 9 blasters available to buy. Blaster value is £5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a blaster, and we can see that it still says that I have no blasters. So for some reason we are not incrementing there. Let's see what happens if I move. So if I move days, we do move to day 2 and day 3 and day 4. You can't actually read anything here because it all kind of bunches up. So let's deal with that now. So how about in status we have it print. So each time it runs the status, we're just going to print a blank line here. Okay, now why are we not incrementing blasters and stuff? I'm not sure why that's the case. Why we're not incrementing blasters here. So let's just save again and see if we can kind of piece together what's up here. So all right, okay. So I know. So it's let buy. Right, okay. That's why you can't do that. So I can't do that because I've got no cash. Did I forget to give myself any cash at all at the start of the game? Because that might be the problem. If we go up here, and yep, I haven't given myself any cash, so that was why it was not letting me do anything. That's really reassuring. So let's give myself, I don't know, let's give myself 20 of my finest pound sterling here. There we go. Let's give myself 20 of them. Right, so I've got £20. There are 4 blasters available to buy. Blaster value is 9. Now I happen to remember that actually 9 is quite a high value for a blaster, so I'm not going to go ahead and buy that. I'm going to move, and then this should increment day to day 2. There we go, into day 2. Right, blaster value is now 3, so I'm going to go nuts. I'm going to buy, and that is a problem now. Local variable money reference before assignment. So where's that? Money equals money minus blaster value. Money is referenced before assignment. Okay, so does that mean that I did not okay, I called it money. So there's the problem there. So I've called this money twice and not cash. So I need to call that cash. So cash equals, and then that should sort that out. Cash equals cash minus blaster's value. There we go. And let's see how this goes. Okay, and we're going. It's £5. Yeah, £5 isn't a bad price, I guess. So let's try buying. Right, so I've bought a blaster. I've got £15 cash now. I've got a little bit less cash, and I'm going to go ahead and completely buy out these blasters. Right, and it still says there are. Oh, it says that I can't do that now. 5. Okay, it should be less than or equal to. That's why, because I've still got £5, but it's not letting me buy it. Because it's less than or equal to, and cash is greater than or equal to blaster value. So let's go ahead and try that again. Let's try just buying here. Is that fine? Yep, that's great. So I've bought 3 blasters. I own 3 blasters now. There are no blasters available, and it's time for me to move on. Right, blaster value is 10 now, so I'm going to go ahead and sell all my 3 blasters and make some major profit. There we go, so I'm making some major profit here. Have I got any more blasters? No more blasters left, so I'm going to move on. £7 is too expensive, so I'm going to move on. £5 isn't bad, so I'm going to buy till it tells me I can't buy any more. Right, you can't do that, that's fine. So it looks to me like this is working just fine. Looks to me like this is doing exactly what it needs to do. We're only on day 4 now. What I'm going to do is change this to only 10 days long to make it a little bit faster, and I'm going to play it all the way through. And then at the end, maybe after this has happened, I'm gonna print my final score. So your final funeral score, your final score is, and then we're going to close that there and concatenate that with the string of the amount of cash that you have. Final score is, and then we'll present that in pounds as well. And then actually what we could do is we could have all of this in a giant while loop, couldn't we? Should we do that? Have all of this in a giant while loop, so it just repeats the game. So while again. Actually, I've just realised something else that we need to do because what if a user types in something weird down here? Because at the moment I've got a feeling it might just break the game. And so let's say the user types in G. If the user types in G, nothing happens. Yeah, nothing happens if the user types in G. So actually, I kind of feel like if the user types in something that they're not meant to type in. Let's actually deal with this elif here. Elif action is not equal to M or S or what was the other one? M or S or B. Print that's not valid. That's not valid. There we go. That'll do. That's not valid, and then we'll have it again continue. Right, let's just see if that's okay. So L, that's not valid, and it just continues on. So we've kind of dealt with that. Right, so now let's try playing this. So £3 is actually super good. So I'm going to buy, and buy again. Now I'm going to move, and oh, that's not valid. That's not valid. Okay, so I've just done something weird, and now sell. So buy. Right, so for some reason it's telling me that M is not valid, and I think I know why. Your program is still running. Do you want to kill it? I think what I actually need... Right, so I'm actually going to go ahead and get rid of this. I'm actually going to put an else statement at the bottom here. Right, so now it's going to be else. Whoops. Else. Print. Not valid. Okay. Right, so let's put that right at the bottom there and see what that does. Okay. G. Not valid. Right. Let's buy. Buy. Buy again. Can I buy again? Right. It's telling me I can't do that, which is perfect. Now let's move. Right. And so I've now moved and I'm on day 2. Okay. Now worth 9. So let's sell, and sell again. I'm already made a bunch of money. Move. That's still pretty expensive. Move. Okay, I'm going to buy these up. Buy. Buy. Whoops, am I typing the right thing here even? Oh, there are no blasters available to buy, so I can't do that. That's fine. I've bought all the blasters I can. Move. And I guess I could sell for a little bit of profit, or I could just buy some more. Buy. So let's buy both of those. Let's move. 10 blasters at 16 now. Buy. And I can't afford any more. I can't do that. Right, move. And now we're going to sell them all. We can just sell all the blasters I've got. And this game is actually working out okay now. It's doing what it needs to do. I just realised you couldn't see a lot of what was going on there, but the game is actually working out okay. It's okay now. So we're out of blasters to buy. We're out of blasters to sell rather. So let's move. We're on day 8. That's too expensive. That's not bad. So we can buy a load at 5 and then just kind of hope that on our final day, no more blasters. Hope on our final day they're worth more than 5. Blaster value is okay. And now right. Okay. So now it's got to 10. My final score is 32. And that is the game. That's the basis of the game, and it's kind of working. So I guess the next step for this would be to actually put this into some kind of a GUI, which I'm not going to do today. But the next step would be making this a kind of a visual interface that you could interact with more easily than just pushing buttons, just typing and pressing return. And so thanks very much for watching. This is PyJolt signing off.